If I lost everything, I'm talking no money, no credit, no reliable income, this is exactly how I would rebuild $1 million portfolio using Section 8. No creative financing that doesn't really work, no partners, no gimmicks, just a reliable, proven process that actually works. Hello, I'm Joseph Khateri, realtor in the state of Virginia, as well as investor who actually buys Section 8 properties. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to go from nothing to owning multiple cash flowing rentals as fast as humanly possible. Let's get into it. Phase 1, stacking your capital. So you guys might hate me for this, but step 1 is getting a stable income. You need a job that lets you get by in life as well as save and put a little bit of money on the side for these investments. So if I was restarting from scratch, nada, nothing, I would either be a student going through college, or let's assume that's not in the books for you or you want to go faster than that. I'd be looking for a W-2 job that has tons of overtime, or a commission-based role such as solar or car sales, or I'd try to go for a trade job like HVAC, electrical apprentice work. Yes, you're gonna have to go through most likely some type of apprenticeship. You can't start off instantly, but even starting out very quickly, you'll start off at like 20 bucks an hour. And if all else fails, become a server. I'm being so serious about that. Being a server is a kind of underrated because you get paid the exact same day. And if I was a server, I would do my absolute best to look handsome or pretty to get more tips. I would, because this phase is not about passion. I'm sorry. It is about stacking money, hard work, building credibility. This is easily the worst part of the process that I'm going to explain to you, but you have to want it. I consistently work 60 to 80 hours a week, even today, and I have money now. And even now, I still work 60 to 80 hours. When I was just starting out, when I was a realtor in college, I was doing 40 hours of coursework followed by another 30 hours of real estate every single week. So no, this isn't for everybody, but if you want to be above average, your work ethic has to be above average. So that's step 1. Step 2 of the phase, which is cutting expenses like a psychopath. So if you want a house hack for your first home, you need to save 6%. That is your magic number. That is the number that will be your launch pad. You need to save 6% of the home price you want to go for. And that is, again, if you want to buy a multifamily house hack for your first property. If you don't want to do that, let's say homes are just way too expensive, or you don't want to move, for example, then you need $25,000. Here are some of the things I did in order to cut my expenses down to almost nothing. Number 1, I lived with my parents for a long time until I was 20. So my rent was absolutely nothing, like zero, nada. If that is not possible for whatever reason, strict parents or let's say you're moving, then you need to rent a room. You can't have a whole apartment. You need roommates. You can either rent a singular room, you can go on Facebook Marketplace or just friends of friends and find rooms for $600-$700, or you get something like a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom super cheap apartment and just split it amongst all of your roommates. Second, I went to community college, got my associates, and then transferred to a 4-year college instead of directly going to a 4-year. Again, saved probably 20-30 grand that way. Third is I drove a car that was 16 years old. It was in 2005 that it was released. It was a 2005 Mitsubishi Galant. It was a silver color. And that thing broke down twice a year and it was terrible and had permanent stains on the seats. And I drove it until I had a comfortable income. I also meal prepped every meal and bought my groceries super cheap in bulk. And if I did eat out, it was using coupons I got in the mail or those in-app deals. Like for example, McDonald's has a $7 meal through their app. And any dollar I made, I put it into a high yield savings account, either the Discover account if you don't have a direct deposit, or if you do have direct deposit, SoFi. I don't know how long it'll take you to save 6% or 25K. I don't know. For some of you, it might take 2 months. For some of you, it might take a year. Regardless, I have full confidence that every single person watching can save at least 25K over 12 months as long as you're hustling. The next step of the first phase is building your credit. If your credit is bad or non-existent, you have to start now. As soon as you turn 18 or as soon as you start watching this video. If you're a student, get a student credit card. Capital One and Discover have some great options. If you can become an authorized user under a parent's name and they have excellent credit, do that. Let's say neither of those are an option. Get a secured credit card if you're solo and not a student. Here are some tips to improve your credit score even more. Only put a subscription on it. Turn on autopay and never touch it. Always use less than 10% of your credit limit. And again, I'm saying this again, pay it in full and don't actually use it for your real spending. You aren't at that stage yet. Turn on autopay and put it in a drawer and never touch it again. You want to hit at least a 680 credit score within a year, ideally 720. That opens the door to pretty good interest rates for loans. And finally, the last step of this initial phase that you have to do as soon as you finish watching this video is start networking. You want to open up bank accounts at local credit unions and small banks. Go to investor meetups you see on Facebook. Go to every single networking event that you possibly can find, because the goal here is you want to find reliable contractors, reliable realtors, and reliable lenders who know your market. And if you're in my mentorship, you can actually skip this step because I do it for you. I already have these connections. Link in the description. Second phase, buying your first home. So this should be right about at the end of year 1. The first thing you have to do is use an FHA or conventional loan. You don't need creative financing for this. You're going to use an FHA loan with 3.5% down or a conventional loan with 5% down. Step 2, buy the right property. You're going to get a 2 to 4 unit property. Live in one unit and rent the others out to Section 8 tenants or regular tenants. Now, a small note with this. I'm the Section 8 guy. I am. That's my whole shtick, right? I love Section 8. I recommend Section 8. I do not recommend Section 8 for multifamilies. I actually recommend regular tenants for those because I've noticed Section 8 tenants do not like sharing a wall. So when you go looking for these multifamily homes, you need to buy ideally in a market where homes are cheap and Section 8 rents are high. So you can use Compt or just the fair market rent tool and aim for areas where, 60 to 100K homes rent for $1,000 to $1,500. So you can think of parts of the Midwest like Alabama, Indiana, Ohio, Oklahoma. And if you can't move because of a specific reason, let's say you have family, significant other, job, etc., then just do this step with homes near you. Now, not all of you can do that. The main issue is that they might be out of your price range. For example, if you're in California or just a huge city, if the numbers don't make sense, even with a multifamily near you, just skip to the next step. You don't want to forcefully get a multifamily when the numbers don't even work for you. And you specifically want to look at multis for this first home. You might be wondering, what's the advantage of looking for multis? Well, it's additional income. And if you don't have a reliable income, let's say you're a server, right? You can use the multi-units to offset your lack of income. After you've purchased this home, you're going to rehab it to pass inspections. So let's assume you're doing Section 8. They're really simple, but they're really strict. You want to focus on safety and well-being of the home. So I'm talking installing smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, adding GFCI outlets, handrails on stairs, no peeling paint, working utilities. I even just had someone fail recently because their grass wasn't mowed. That's the first time I've seen that one. So don't over renovate, just meet code, right? You want to get rid of everything that's not up to code. For example, if there's a ceiling fan, just get rid of it, right? If there is a Ring doorbell, get rid of it. Screen doors, get rid of it because it's not needed to pass the inspection and it will just cause you a headache if it ever breaks down the line. And then of course, you're going to get approved with the housing authority. You can apply to be a landlord through your local public housing authority, or maybe you don't need that step. You could go directly to advertising. But once you pass inspection, get a tenant, your tenant's rent will most likely or fully be covered by the government. And now you're cash flowing. And even better, you're living for free or nearly free, which is why you're going to phase 3, years 2 to 5. So by now, you should have at minimum 1 property. Hopefully it's a multifamily and you're house hacking, but if not, that's okay. We're gonna go to this step. This is where the snowball starts because the first step is understanding DSCR loans, an investor's perfect scenario. They don't check income. They don't care if you use an LLC. In fact, almost everybody uses an LLC. No pay stubs required, no W-2 required. They don't even check your debts. All they care about is you have enough cash and your credit is good. So after saving up about 25K between your tenants for your multifamily and still working like a madman, you now could qualify for DSCR loans. DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. The bank doesn't care about your job. They care about whether the property can pay the loan. But basically, as long as the property is cash flowing, it will get approved. What you'll need for this, 20% down, if not more if you're living outside the US, 680 credit score, 720 is preferred, and 3 to 6 months of reserves. Then the next step is reinvesting your cash flow. You're going to reinvest everything, save aggressively. because at this point, you're now buying 1 to 2 homes a year. So each of these homes should be under 100K, already be inspected or easily pass the Section 8 inspection, and meet the 1.2 to 1.5% rule, meaning the monthly rent is 1.5% of the purchase price. That means a 75K home should rent for $1,200 to $1,500-ish, around there. So your net expenses should be around $400 a month, which is $4,800 per year. That is after maintenance, after taxes, after everything. Combine that with your rental income from your house hacking and your regular job. Now it's time to repeat and buy and buy and buy. Each property cash flows, each one boosts your net worth even more. You have 5 properties, that's $24,000 in income after all expenses are already paid. That alone per year is enough to get you your next home. And guess what? You don't have to worry about what types of debts you have, if you have to show enough income anymore from your serving job, because you're using DSCR loans. So once you actually hit 5 properties in one LLC, I always recommend to separate them. And this is purely based on your risk tolerance. I'm just talking about my personal preference here. But for my personal preference, we put about 5 homes per LLC. With an LLC, you can also deduct expenses, write off travel, software, maintenance, etc., and pay yourself in a very tax efficient type of way. You're also going to automate the management. You can either hire a property manager, which will take about 10% of your profit per month, or you can use some type of management software like Tenant Cloud or Rent Spree. I've only used Rent Spree. So you can handle rent collection, maintenance, and even making leases. And you want to keep your system lean. Your only job now is acquisitions and oversight, as well as, of course, your day job. So you're buying 2 per year at this point, right? So year 5 was 5 homes. Year 6 is 7, maybe 8. You're going to hit 10 homes within 8-9 years. And you should have also naturally met dozens of business partners at this point that you can potentially partner with. And by partner, I mean going 41%, 59% on properties together. I always like to have a little bit more equity and say in the matter, because if there's a tough decision to be made, I can just override them. I don't have to wait for their permission or anything. I'm the decision maker, hence me taking 51. They typically can bring the money and you just give them a percent return yearly. You have the bank statements and spreadsheets to back up your claims at this point. And I often like to include a buyout option. So if you and your business partner have some type of contract between you two, put in the contract after 5 years, you have the option to buy them out. It's just another stream of capital that helps you buy more real estate. Consistently buying on the low end 2 to 3 homes per year, you're at 8 to 12 properties now after about year 8, year 9, and that's all of your own equity. If you ended up getting the partners I just mentioned, you might be at 50 properties. Sky's the limit. So let's recap. If you do this right, your life in 5 to 8 years could be owning 8 to 12 Section 8 properties. Your tenants pay like clockwork, government-backed, guaranteed rents. Your monthly income covers all of your expenses. You built $1 million in equity, and you did it without any type of weird creative seller financing, without family money, and without luck. So if you're interested in Section 8 investing and want one-on-one mentorship with me directly, go ahead and click the first link in the description. Book a free strategy call with my team to see if we can help you and you would benefit. And also click the second link in the description because it is a link to my school page. In it is completely free to sign up. It is a free community. You can talk with fellow investors, and there are custom course modules in there that I've never shown to anyone before. As always, I am Joseph Khateri, realtor in the state of Virginia. Comment any questions and follow for more. Have a nice day.